Close toward the back of the end zone. Touchdown, Beavers!
It seems like it was yesterday we were saying Reser Stadium was going to be opening its door for the first time this year. Well, that was a long time ago, and now the Beavers will close up Reser Stadium for the last time in the Civil War against the Oregon Ducks. Thank you for being with us. Along with Steve Priest, I'm Dusty Hare. I like the jacket today, Steve.
I like your tie as well. It all matches. It looks like you got it when you were playing there.
Well, I didn't. You did, and that's what the letter O is for. It is a great week to be an Oregon State Beaver, as this rivalry means a little bit more than any other game on the schedule, correct?
Well, the Civil War was always the most important game on the schedule when I was in school. Coach Andros used to say it's for the right to live in the state of Oregon for a year, and he made such a big deal out of it. It was a bit different because you've recruited so many Oregon and Northwest players then as compared to now, but it's still a rivalry game. It's still tough as can be because you're 40 miles apart, and it leads to some hard feelings.
Well, let's take a look at the game that was last week. A beatdown of the Arizona Wildcats into our pyramid. Heating and cooling, hot and cold. What was hot? How about Marcus McMarion? This young man had a coming out party against those Arizona Wildcats. 5 touchdowns to 5 different players. What's the biggest difference with this young man?
Well, you know, there's some poise and confidence that just exudes from Marcus now. 16 for 19. To see here, Jordan Villeman is all of a sudden steps up for 6 catches and 125 yards and a touchdown, and you got touchdowns out of other people. I felt like the people catching the ball made a bigger swing than Marcus.
And right there, the most impressive number there, more touchdowns than incompletions in the game. That's 16 for 19.
That's pretty amazing.
That's an all right day. What was cold? It had nothing to do with Oregon State. It was Arizona's offense. Man, but the Beavers, they made him look bad. Tristan DeCoud with this pass breakup right here, and then it was big plays in critical situations like this sack.
Well, you watch Tristan DeCoud and you see Caleb Swallow right there. They have been hot all season. Those two guys have played as well as anybody on the defense. There are 3 or 4 of them who've been so consistent, played every game. You see the big INT right there from young Xavier Crawford, who was a surprise when he took over for Dwayne Williams with an injury, and he's coming back for 3 more years. Kevin Clune really has put some things together.
And, you know, Xavier Crawford getting that chance when Dwayne Williams was down and injured, that may be a benefit for this team long run, and in this game in the Civil War, that those young guys, the backups, you started to build depth, not necessarily at the right times because they had their growing pains.
Yeah, well, Dwayne getting back from his injury and playing in that nickel position has been unbelievable. That's when the Beavs are best, and it fits so well for the future. Tristan DeCoud is a senior. Now you've got Xavier Crawford, who's going to be a sophomore. You've got Dwayne, who will be a junior next year. They're all of a sudden stocked at corner with Jay Irvine and some others.
Now, there were a lot of good moments in that win over Arizona, but our flat tail brewing damn good moment is this Timmy Hernandez catch, one of the 5 different receivers that caught one from Marcus McMarion. What do you make of this play by Timmy Hernandez?
First of all, it's a great pass. He throws it outside where he can get it. And take a look at this. One-handed. He uses his right arm to fend off, and that is a great job of being a receiver. Timmy Hernandez came in Oregon State from a JC with 3 to play 3. So he's got 2 years left, even though he's a junior college player. And he's been playing more and more. He was leading receiver a week ago. It's all coming together. Too bad there aren't a few more games.
One of his second best catch would have been the best catch in any other game.
Oh.
He fell down in the first drive of the game, and McMarion found him sitting on his rear.
Well, not only did he find him sitting on her rear, it was a great effort by McMarion. Yeah. He's flushed out of the pocket because nobody's there and finds him on the ground and puts the ball right where it's supposed to be. And that is a hard throw. That really is a hard throw.
All right, we're just getting underway. Coming up next, Coach Anderson sits down, not with us, with Dwight Jaynes, and he talks about things like the next step with this Beavers program.
For the rest of the year, we have to continue to recruit. We got to get longer in this league. We got to get faster in this league, and we got to get more depth in this league to be able to have an opportunity to compete at the highest level.
Usually now this is the time where Coach Anderson sits down with us, but we sent down our Dwight Jaynes to Reser Stadium to sit down with Coach Gary Anderson and talk about, among other things, the brick-by-brick process that is building Oregon State.
You're known as a guy who knows how to rebuild and how to build a program from the bottom up. You did that before. Where does your rebuild here stand? Where are you? Are you a little bit ahead of schedule, or are you right on schedule? How do you feel about it?
The crazy thing is I don't have a schedule. I don't know. You know, really every day is so different because there's so many curveballs. There's so many different things that can happen within recruiting and injuries and, you know, the fluctuation of where all those things take place. I think our kids have bought in. I think they have a great belief in their university, which is important to me. I think they understand the uniqueness of Corvallis and Oregon State University. When I say that, that's a buy-in factor to your school and to your university, and that's part of building a culture and changing a culture, to have that the respect of everybody else to go out and play hard, not just for your team. The last thing I want on a team is hey, it's just us. It's, you know, we just got to go get this done. Yeah, you're the guys who go play the game, but there's a lot of people that give you an opportunity to play a game. I think we're good in that area. We have to continue to recruit. We got to get longer in this league. We got to get faster in this league, and we got to get more depth in this league to be able to have an opportunity to compete at the highest level.
Speaking of Corvallis, you took this job, it's my understanding, without visiting, without bringing your family in to visit. How has that worked out? Is it everything you thought it would be? How do you feel about all that now?
It's been great. I've got some interesting emails that I could probably share to you. You'd look at and say, you are nuts. And I told you were nuts. But I answer back and I say, no, not so fast. It's really been great for me. Overall, the 2 years they've been tough. Football years, they've been tough football years. But I love these challenges, and I see where we're going, and you know, I've had the opportunity as an older coach now to choose where I wanted to coach. And most of the time in coaching, you get told where to go because that's the place that will have you at that point. And I'll never forget that. I got to choose this place, and I'm grateful for that opportunity. And I think that it's great for my wife, Stacy. Keegan's here with us. My boys are coming back tomorrow or the next day for Thanksgiving and come and spend the weekend with us. And so it's a great place to live. You got days like this. There's no snow on the ground. I don't have a snowblower. There's no snow shovel. So like I said many times, the best kept secret in the world about the weather of Oregon is what, you know, people on the outside think, oh, it's rainy and gloomy and this and that, and live here. I mean, try living out where I lived, where I grew up, and the weather's here pretty good. So it's a special place.
See, those of us who grew up in a big city don't really understand the small town guys. You consider yourself a small town guy?
Absolutely. Love it. Yeah, I love being 3 minutes. I just love being 3 minutes away from work. And in this profession, I love being less than 5 minutes away from every kid on the football team. You know, I like Safeway and Costco better than I like a great big skyscraper mall. I don't know, is that small town? It's a small town. I like to walk around in my neighborhood and, you know, walk the dogs and see a bunch of people I know. And not that you can't do that in a big city, but I just, I like having a couple stoplights on my way to work and not a traffic jam. So.
Gary, are you one of those guys that sleeps in the office and puts in 18-hour days and all this? You don't do that?
No, I'm not in a competition to see who can work the longest. I think we put ourselves as a staff in competition to see who works the hardest, because I believe we do that. But I want these coaches, you know, my kids are gone now, so I got Stacy and dogs at home, which is great. But I like to go home and see them, and I'm sure these coaches like to get home and see their families. So we're really blessed here with the way we practice. We practice in the morning, so our kids are gone on their way to school at noon. So we structure our day the right way our coaches can really have lives. And I think that's part of, you know, it's football, yes, but it's also having lives and enjoying those children and all the things that our coaches can have. So we pride ourselves on working hard, not working long.
All right, let's have some fun now. Rapid fire. Quick answers, or if you want.
I'm bad at this game.
No. You're going to find yourself good, because these are pretty easy questions. I can't get too complicated. What's the NFL team you follow?
Miami Dolphins.
Why?
Sonka, Jim Cook, Mercury Morris, Mercury Morris, all those guys. And my mom was a Redskins fan. That seemed like they met in big games every single year. So
Don Shula.
Don Shula was there, yep.
Who's a coach at any level that you admire the most?
I would have to say Coach Ron McBride. You know, he was my college coach. He gave me my
Utah.
first job. Yep. Was a mentor, comes out here every year for camp, and he would be #1 for me without a doubt.
What sport would you be coaching if you're not coaching football?
Not golf, that's for sure. I'm pretty good at ping pong. Can you coach that?
I don't think they've got that program here.
Okay.
It would be a good Title IX program.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah.
Hey, favorite musical group or artist? Who do you listen to?
Well, it's going to go 80s, and there's a lot of them. So it'd be the Thompson Twins or the Cars, my two favorite.
The Cars.
Love the Cars. They're a little bit more of that rock stuff, you know.
Yeah, I was looking for hard
Twins, a
rock.
little different.
AC/DC.
I love AC/DC. I love all that stuff, but those are two that pop out that they're definitely on my Pandora playlist.
I'm glad to hear you have
Which
a
I
Pandora
do that.
playlist.
See, that's
Nice
pretty good.
going. That is good.
That's big, yeah.
That's great. Okay, favorite vacation spot? Where do you guys like
Maui.
to go?
Yep.
Oh,
if
me
I had to,
too.
if I had to
It's
pick
the
a
best,
place,
isn't it?
yeah, I'd love to go to Maui, and that's where my family's had great vacations, so no question.
All right. Red meat or fish?
Fish.
Really?
Until last 5
You
years
look
ago.
like a steak guy.
I used to be, not anymore.
No kidding.
I
Health
push away
reasons,
from
or-
the red meat. Not really health reasons, just health
Trying to stay
choices,
on.
I guess. Yeah, I mean, I try to. I'll eat red meat every once in a while, but if I have a nice piece of fish, and we have pretty good fish around here too.
Yeah. Okay, this is a complicated question. Hat or umbrella?
I can't say visor.
Well, a visor's not going to keep
Okay,
the
then
rain
I
off
don't
your
like
head.
hats. Then I'm going umbrella.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Some people think in Oregon, only the outsiders carry an umbrella.
Yeah. I just don't like hats. So I'd rather have
Really?
a wet hair than wear.
What's wrong
I don't
with a
have
hat?
much hair, so
Yeah,
I'm just
well,
a visor
that's
guy.
why I like hats.
Just a visor guy.
All right. Seinfeld or the Three Stooges?
Three Stooges. I've never watched maybe one episode of Seinfeld, and I've watched the Three Stooges a little bit, but probably not even the whole way through. So I don't know that much about those guys, but I would have to go to the Three Stooges.
Okay. All-time favorite movie?
Dumb and Dumber. It's a hard one. Caddyshack's there. There's a lot of those. I'm going Dumb and Dumber. Yeah.
That's good. Kind of goes with the Three Stooges a little bit.
Yes, it could.
And there is the Beavs incoming recruiting class. One of the things that he mentioned was guys that care about what we're doing, guys that care about Oregon State. You look at those names, that list of people, and then all of the new faces that we've had in just a year and a half, 2 years now. It's amazing to see what's going on down there.
Dusty, to me, it's amazing. He mentioned the buy-in. At this time last year, the Beavs suited up 58 guys for the Civil War. That means they're down that many from scholarships. They were gone in the spring a year ago. They were gone in fall camp because he wants guys that will buy into what Gary Anderson and his staff say. The other thing I think Gary has done that's so remarkable is just making adjustments. He's making adjustments. Dwight's question was, what are you doing to change and so forth? He makes adjustments every day, it seems like, and will continue to until this team's winning.
All right, Dwight in Coach Anderson's conversation is just getting going, and so are we. Coach Anderson on the impact that the Saturday Civil War has on the program moving forward.
We know we're playing a good team. We think we're a team that's moving forward, and both sides are going to play hard. But a win would be a big step for us and something that Beaver fans deserve.
Dwight Jane's conversation with Coach Gary Anderson continues with building off of each success moving forward.
There's two sides to this job, obviously. You got to coach your kids, get them ready for games, but you also have the recruiting side of it. Yep. And I'm just curious what that's like, especially here in this situation where you need to replenish the talent a little bit. How much of your time is spent on recruiting? How much of it on coaching?
A lot on recruiting. So at this time of year for me, I've really felt like this year I need to be even more involved in recruiting than I ever have been. I love to recruit. I think it's important, but I've pushed the envelope from a recruiting standpoint. The coaches are obviously doing their side of recruiting, but I'm more involved this year and probably last year than I ever have been with a group of young men. I think I have to be at this level to continually get those relationships built. We still believe in relationship recruiting. We don't believe in internet recruiting. We don't believe in a lot of the, well, this guy has 10 offers, so we're going to watch 4 clips of him, and then we're going to offer him a scholarship because he has 10 offers. We're still going to do our homework and make sure he's a fit. We're going to share the uniqueness of our university because we think it's special. We're not going to sell you Oregon State. We're going to show it to you, and if it's not good enough, then that's fine. And that takes building of relationships, in my opinion. So right now, I'd say I'm probably 60-40 to the side of recruiting, and maybe even less than that. It would be less than that if I wasn't coaching a position, or more towards the recruiting side if I wasn't so involved with the defensive line.
You on Twitter?
I don't do that. I'm old school when it comes to that. No Instagram, no Twitter. I had a Twitter account for 2 weeks. And number one, I couldn't understand it, even though all the education I was getting from all the kids. And number two, I just don't need those people in my life. I don't need all that extra noise, if you will. I'll just
There's a little
do my
negativity
deal.
out there, just a bit.
I'm good without Twitter, and I don't think I need it for recruiting.
Right.
The assistants absolutely do, and that's the only reason they have it. They have to have it because that's how kids communicate. But for me as a head coach, I want them to communicate with a text message and phone calls with me. I think it's important.
Let's say you're recruiting a kid and you see some things in his social media, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. Does that influence you? I mean, I assume you're monitoring what these kids are saying to learn maybe more about what kind of person they are.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you look at that, and if you need to try to help coach up a kid in those settings and situations, then we do that too. Because sometimes there's I just didn't know factor, I just didn't get it factor. But we'll try to help kids, whether they're our recruit or somebody that we're strongly looking at. If we have our assistant coaches can shoot out there and say, hey, young man, this is not where you want to be, or this is great stuff, absolutely. But it's important as we recruit and we get the young men tied into our community in Beaver Nation as they go through recruiting, that they represent themselves the right way. There's a lot of little eyes on athletes, and those little eyes that are on athletes mean a lot to me.
What's best about Corvallis for you?
Building something, which I love to do. You know, I'll go to my grave not knowing what my win-loss record was, but if I go to my grave knowing what I was able to change a couple programs and a bunch of kids' lives, and, you know, I'll go peacefully.
Does Oregon's past success and the kind of swagger they have and all the aura around them from getting what they've gotten the last few years, does that have an impact on your kids, do you think? Do you have to convince them that they can play with them, that they can beat them? How does that go as a coach?
Well, I think there was part of that through the Pac-12 season this year with the way we got beat last year in a lot of games. And so how does that go as a coach? I talked to him about it. You know, to me, there was a lot of games last year, and, you know, you sit back and it was like the fourth grader walking into the room with the seventh grader and, you know, getting smacked around. And, you know, so now the fourth grader's grown up a little bit, I believe, and we'll see, you know, how far the seventh grader's come and where he sits, or is he in eighth grade, or where's he moving to now? So we're excited. I think we've stepped up to that every game this year when we've been faced with that, which has been a number of times where we physically got beat down last year, and I don't think that's happened this year. So that's a step in the right direction, as our kids are prideful of that. You know, I like to think we have swag too, you know, and I think we're growing in that area. I think it's important for us to continue to understand that, you know, we want to carry ourselves like a big-time Division I football program that does it the right way on and off the field.
What would a win in this game do for your program?
Oh, it'd be huge. If something that's happened, it hasn't happened for a long time now, number one. And none of our kids have been through it. They've never felt that victory. And, you know, I've been, had the opportunity in the past to be a coach and break one of those strings, and a couple of those strings, actually. It's a great feeling as a coach. It's got to be twice the feeling as a player. It'd be great for our fans to get this thing back to where it needs to be, because the bottom line, it does become an even more heated rivalry when there's give and take on both sides. And sure, I'm excited to get it to that point as we continue to move forward. And, you know, we know we're playing a good team. We think we're a team that's moving forward, and both sides are going to play hard. But a win would be a big step for us, and something that Beaver fans deserve.
Well, you heard him say that he broke a long streak while at Utah State, a 12-game losing streak, as you see right there, to the Utah Utes. He also mentioned, you know, coaching versus recruiting. It seems to be a slippery slope, Steve, that Gary Anderson finds traction on.
Well, you know, he mentions that he thinks recruiting right now is the most important part of it, and it is, because he needs new kids and new blood in this program, particularly after what we said earlier with how many he got rid of. But I'll tell you what, it proves what he said later. He got back into coaching and became the defensive line, made himself the defensive line coach because he believes he can coach. And if you look at what the Beavs have been through with injuries, with all the lost players this year, they have out-coached people. They've been in so many games that perhaps they shouldn't have been in. And I think that man's the reason that they have changed so much. And I think it's not as much in recruiting as just what he's made them buy in the coaching end of it. He can win with his football program, and he knows it.
Well, if you want to see that interview in its entirety, head over to csnnw.com and look under the Podfather Godcast, and you can see everything with Coach Anderson and Dwight Jaynes. All right, we got our keys to the game coming up, Civil War edition. Beavers Inside the Huddle rolls on. More Beavs action than you know what to do with here on CSN Friday, midnight. Wow, that's late. It is hashtag Beavers Football CSN Game Day with Steve Corey. Another hashtag Beavers Football Civil War Postgame Live and Talking Beavs. All right here on CSN. Time now for Northwest Honda Dealers keys to the game. Where I start, Steve. Null rush for more yards than Royce Freeman win the ground game for Oregon State. Number 2, Marcus McMarion played within himself. 5 touchdowns, 5 different receivers. Looked loose, was playing free against Arizona. And number 3, jump on the Ducks early. They did not play well from the heart.
As always, you hit it on the head, but I'm going a little bit different this time around. Penalties were so important to the Beavs the last several games. Last week, they were 49 yards. That is a big deal, and I think 25 were in that first drive that they turned into a long touchdown to Jordan Villamane. So eliminate the penalties, eliminate the lost yards. Just like you said about Null, 300 rush yards. They need him. Null needs 204 for 1,000 yards. He hadn't played much. That'll lead to 35-plus points, and they're going to have to be up in the stratosphere against the highest-scoring team in the league. Or one of them, excuse me. Defense, control the run game. The Beavers have done a pretty good job at times, but then they lose the big run. They've got to stop this great run offense, and including the quarterback. This young quarterback, Herbert, he is a very good football player, and he hurts you with the run as much as the pass.
Civil War can cap this season off that has had a lot of great building blocks on it. As you look back on 2016, vaulting into 2017, 277 starts will return if everybody sticks around for next year's 2017 Beavs. 2016 year 2 with Gary Anderson, a success?
I absolutely believe it was, Dusty. He was looking for people to buy in, like we said earlier, and he's gotten his systems in, and these kids have adjusted so much. I haven't seen a half a game, I haven't seen a quarter where they've been down and not played well. If they have a bad play go, they seem to play the next play just as well. Injuries, they've stepped up. Personnel has been a non-existent problem, if you will, with all their injuries. So, yeah, it was a very good success, and as he gets more people in this program, more recruiting, as he said, they're going to win big.
Well, the Civil War is coming up on Saturday. This is the final Beavers Inside the Huddle for 2016. We'll see you in 2017.